Scott.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I think it's fair to say that the debate last week certainly confirmed that the issues that have been raised by journalists are valid and urgent. And as I'm sure all members agree, journalists and citizens need a robust FOI regime in order to hold power account, whether it be in relationship to matters such as recruitment in the NHS, conversations government ministers have with authoritarian regimes like China, and Donald Trump's status as a global Scot. Now, I'm particularly grateful that the Conservatives have brought this debate today, as it provides me with an opportunity to remind members of what FOI can tell us about some of the Conservatives. Mr Henry Angest is a man I mentioned last week, Chairman and Chief Executive of our Arbuthnot Banking Group, former Master of the Worshipful Company of International Bankers, former Tory Party Treasurer and knighted for his efforts. He provided almost £7 million to the Tory Party and was a funder of Atlantic Bridge, the charity that funded Adam Werrity's excursions around the world with Liam Fox. He also provided substantial funds to the Tory Party in Scotland, and Murdo Fraser will, I'm sure, know Mr Angest, who helped fund his doomed leadership bid for the Tory Party. He also donated funds to Perth College for research, and we learned through FOI that he was angling for an honorary degree as a reward. But because Perth College retained copyright in this information release and refused to consent to me publishing this information, I am legally compromised in my ability to share this information with others. And that's one aspect of why FOI regime warrants a fresh look. Conservative members will also, I'm sure, welcome the EU's transparency regimes on information held by the Scottish Government in relationship to the distribution of agricultural subsidies, which allow us to know that a company called Peter Chapman & Co. received £104,014 in farm payments in 2012, £114,800 in 2013, and £101,669 in 2015. And Delpher Farms, which the mover of this motion is a partner, £131,960 in 2015. Now, this is all very interesting, and I think it is relevant, and I think it's vital and useful information to allow citizens to understand how public money is being spent, how public authorities are discharging their duties on our behalf, and how much influence is exerted by private interests in public affairs. Turning to the motion, Presiding Officer, last week... Happy to do so.
Neil Findlay.
Given the information he's just disclosed to the Chamber, would Mr Whiteman welcome a double jobbing bill being brought before this Parliament?
I look forward
Andy Whiteman.
I look forward with interest to a double jobbing bill and its contents, and I'll let the member know of my views on that when it's brought. Last week, the Minister acknowledged that we are not where we want to be. I think most members will concur with that view. And so I want to commend ministers for not having sought to delete the motion and to have recognised the need to address failings in their own performance, as well as the need for post-legislative scrutiny of the Act. I think this attitude, welcome attitude, sends an important signal beyond the politics here. This is not a party political matter. It's not even just something for the Scottish Government. It's something that's fundamental to democratic society. So I respect Scottish ministers for holding their hands up on this occasion, notwithstanding that substantial concerns remain, some of which are highlighted by Alex Rowley. And I also want to commend ministers for their decision to publish full logs of information releases. This was a concern raised by Monica Lennon and myself last week, and the Government's response is timely and welcome. But, Presiding Officer, in conclusion, I just want to raise two matters. Journalists raised many serious issues, none of which have been fundamentally addressed by the Minister today in their letter. Now, I think the Minister in his opening remarks confirmed that he'd be writing to journalists to address those very specific concerns. If you could confirm that in closing, that would be very welcome. Second, on the proposed disclosure log, there are some concerns about the release of sensitive information simultaneously to requesters such as journalists and to the public at the same time. And I would ask the ministers to reflect on whether they consider building perhaps a time lag of a day or two to accommodate such cases. I merely make that as a suggestion. Thank you, Presiding Officer.
Tavish Scott, to be followed by Richard Lockhead.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I'm with Andy Whiteman in recognising that Joe Fitzpatrick, the Minister for Parliamentary Business, has come here